Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome to another video. Like I promised in my yesterday's video, this is an update to the executive order passed by President Trump on suspension and limitation of H1-B visa, H2-B visa and certain other visa category to enter into United States until December 31st. In this video, I have an immigration lawyer who is going to address what does this executive order mean, who does this impact to, what happens in certain situations. All the comments which you put it in the comment section, we are going to try to address some of them. Karen, if you're watching this, thank you so much for doing this. It means a lot to me and my audience. And I will leave the link of all the Karen's social media and her website. You're more than welcome to reach out to her if you have any immigration questions. Last but not the least, thank you so much for all the love and support. Every single comment motivates me and encourages me to bring valuable content just like this one. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. And now I will let you enjoy the video. Before we start anything, can you do a quick intro, like, what do you do and, where are you from and all of that?
Okay, sure. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's my honor and privilege to be on your show today. I'm very lucky that you've asked me to be here. I hope I can answer the questions. A lot of this is still up in the air. My name is Karen Lee Pollock. I am an immigrant. I am originally from South Africa. I am also an immigration attorney. So I know the law, at least I think I do, except for strange executive orders, but I'm also an immigrant. So I know what it's like to come here and the emotional and stressful toll it takes on you. I came here on an H1-B. And then I met my husband, who is American, and I married him. So a little easier than a green card through employment.
Yeah.
Shared the Dallas office of one of the largest immigration firms, one of the largest law firms, their immigration section, America Bound for many years. I then went to a regional firm. And in 2017, we opened up our own boutique immigration firm. We specialize in family, employment, and investment immigration. That is all that we do. So, and a lot of experience. I have been doing this now for 25 years. Seen a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And every day is an adventure, especially under this administration.
Yeah.
I hope I can answer your questions.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you again. So let's just dive right into the executive order because, the way it's written, it's so difficult to understand, at least for the people who don't speak law language. It's difficult to understand. But what I understood that it's mainly the travel ban for people who are seeking to enter into United States. But I would like you to, talk through like what exactly, if you can summarize what's the order and how it is impacted to people.
Okay, so President Trump and the administration have been threatening for a long time now to curb immigration. And they started doing this on April the 23rd when they issued an immigration travel ban. That expired yesterday and they renewed it. And in addition to renewing the immigration travel ban, they added language relating to a non-immigrant travel ban. Before I dive into what this ban includes or excludes, let me first say this does not apply to people who are in the United States. If you're going through a process of extending a visa or applying for an H1-B visa, or you're in the immigration process and you are in the United States, this does not affect you. Yeah. It will only affect you possibly if you leave the United States. You will not be able possibly to re-enter. But if you're here and your employer has filed for an H1-B for this year's cap that starts in October and you are here on some other visa, or your employer is extending your H1-B visa and you are here, this will not impact you.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the questions which you will see is very similar. So I like that you already hit that big rock. But yeah, continue. So.
Okay, so yesterday President Trump extended the immigration travel ban, and he also added language relating to non-immigrant visas. In regard to non-immigrant visas, as of June 24th at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time, no visas will be issued to people in H1-B status, which is the professional visa for a specialty occupation. There will be no visas for intercompany transfers. As far as we know, that includes executives, managers, and people with specialized knowledge. There will be no visas for H2B immigrants, which are non-agricultural temporary workers. There will be no J1 visas for certain J1 holders, such as cultural exchange programs, summer workers, camp counselors, and au pairs. The J1 does not include students, people here for medical research, for doctors who are doing COVID-related issues, but otherwise it includes J1s who are temporary workers.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So that is what the non-immigrant ban includes. It's stating that the government is providing an opportunity for American workers to take these jobs, and because of COVID, there is high unemployment, so America must be first, and that is why, in theory, the administration has published this executive order. It expires on December the 31st if it is not renewed. Mm-hmm. If President Trump is re-elected in November, there is a chance that he will renew this ban. We do not know how long, but as with the travel ban for certain countries that was promulgated in 2017, it was supposed to be 60 days. It's now over 3 years.
Yeah. And I do want to ask you, so what's the difference between issue and travel ban? So I know it says that suspending and limitation to entry into United States. So when you say issuing, does it mean that someone cannot even apply for these categories being outside United States, or if they have those categories, they cannot come into United States?
Well, that's a great question. We are not sure, but the way that we read it is if you have one of those visas today in your passport and it is valid, such as an H1-B visa, you went overseas to visit family, you have a valid H1-B visa, or what people commonly call H1 visa stamp in your passport, you can re-enter. And this ban will not include you. However, if you do not have the visa in your passport, so let's say you recently extended your H1B visa, you have an approval notice, and you went overseas to visit family, you're waiting for an interview, or you've already had an interview and your visa has been approved at the consulate, you're just waiting for it to be issued. It is our understanding that as of the day of this executive order, no new H1B, J1, H2B, and L1 visas will be issued. So if you are outside the United States waiting for an appointment to get your H1 visa stamp, you are stuck there. That's our understanding as of today. Right. We do not know because we have not tested the cases yet. We have not seen if the consulate will maybe issue a visa, but may only make it effective January 1, 2021, or if they're just saying, sorry, all appointments are cancelled, no appointments for these types of visas until January 1, 2021.
Yeah, and there are a lot of like interesting questions on these because a lot of people are messaging me, emailing me, and commenting on my videos. So I'll get to that. There's also one more addition which I saw was on the regulation changes on H1B visa salary requirements. They are recommending to look into that. And I would like to talk about that at some point of time in this session, so that way we can touch on like if that happens and what they are asking to change it, because I think they are asking to make it tier 4 salary, and that's a lot of money for employers to pay to get someone to have H1B visa.
Yes, well, we can talk about those in a moment. The executive order yesterday, as I said, also renews the immigration ban, which means no immigrant visas will be issued in certain categories. Those categories include DV lottery winners. So if you won the lottery and your deadline to come in was September the 30th, even though you won, if you have not had your visa interview yet, you have lost your chance at the DV lottery. If you're on an employment-based immigrant visa and you have an employer who is sponsoring you for a green card, that will not be issued at least until December the 31st. If you are the spouse of a permanent resident, that will not be issued until the end of the year. If you are the adult child of a US citizen, that will not be issued until the end of the year. If you are a parent of a US citizen, your immigrant visa will not be issued until the end of the year. There are exceptions to both the non-immigrant ban and the immigrant ban. Those include visas will be issued to spouses of US citizens. They will be issued to children who are under 21 years old of US citizens. It will be issued to people working in COVID-related areas in the medical field. It will be issued to food services industries where there's a shortage of workers. It will be issued to certain adoptees of US citizens, people who are needed in the national interest. The words at national interest are very broad.
Yeah.
They have said in the order that it relates to economic recovery and uses other words, so there is wiggle room if you can make a case that your job is in the national interest.
Right. Okay.
So, for example, we have a client who's the CEO of a very large company in the United States. He left with his L1, which expired while he was overseas. He went for a family emergency. He cannot come back according to that order.
Yeah.
If he's not allowed back by the end of December, his company will tank and it will shut down, causing the loss of jobs for thousands of Americans. So we're going to make the argument that he is worthy of a waiver because his company contributes to economic recovery and contributes to creating jobs for Americans.
Right.
I don't know if that will work.
Yeah. You already cleared like a very big part of it, that this OPTs and F1 students, because those are like my biggest audience, are like the students who are in United States who are on F1 visa and or on OPT. So they are not impacted if they are in United States. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it is our understanding, or the way we read the executive order, that this executive order does not impact F1 students or OPT students, even if they are outside the United States.
Right, and even F2 and F4, I'm assuming.
That is correct. So F1 students, people on OPT, or their spouses or children are not impacted by the executive ban.
Yeah.
It does not apply to them.
Right. Okay. So now this is the most common one. So someone who had OPT this year, they got their H1B visa picked up and they went to India thinking that they will get the stamp. now they are stuck because they don't have an appointment because all the visa consulates are closed and they're just waiting for it to open. What happens to them? Because I'm assuming technically their status will be changed on October 1st to H1B, but the visa is not approved. They are waiting for an interview. So what happens to that situation?
So if an employer has filed an H1B application for you because you were selected in the March 2020 lottery, and that visa is approved in the United States, and you have now gone for stamping, it is our understanding that, first of all, you don't change to H1B status when you're overseas. So it doesn't matter what their status is. It only impacts people when they come back into the United States. So their game plan was to go to India now, wait for it to be approved, and then come back on October the 1st with a stamp in their passport in H1B status and start working for the employer. That is many of my clients. Well, we don't know because this is new, but it is our understanding that they will not be issued an H1B visa. So they cannot come back in H1B status, and will have to wait until the end of the year and pray that this ban is lifted.
Yeah.
And then they will get the stamp and can come in, let's say, January 1, and then they will be in H1B status. And until that time, they are stuck in India.
And they can't even book an appointment or anything until December 31st, correct?
We do not know yet.
Okay.
We do not know. What I believe is that they won't be given an appointment. I may be wrong, but even if they are given an appointment, the visa stamp will not be effective until after December 31st, 2020.
Got it. Okay.
We don't know this because there's been no news yet, but that is my understanding and my read of it.
Yeah. And so what happens now? This is another situation, and me and there are a lot of other people, because I'm on H1B. My H1B expires in August 2020, and my employer is in the process of filing my H1B extension. Does this impact at all to me? Because I'm in United States, I don't plan to travel at all to go back to India or anything.
This does not apply at all to anybody in the United States seeking H1B visas for the first time or an extension. If you are in the United States, it will not impact you. If you're outside the USA and you've applied to extend your H1B or applied for new H1B with consular processing, that is going to be problematic because an H1B visa will not be issued to allow you back unless you can make some argument, I suppose, for national interest.
Yeah. What about the case where on the transfers, if someone is either they have the one company working in XYZ company, moving to another company, and that other company is transferring their H1B, does this impact them?
It will not impact them if they are in the United States.
Okay. And same goes to all the L1 to H1, O1 to H1, or any kind of transfer in United States will not impact it.
That is correct. No impact.
Right. Sorry. Wife is on H4, and she's waiting for her appointment to get the stamping for H4. Husband is in United States on H1B. Will she be able to come or no?
Our reading, we don't know, but our reading of the order is she cannot come because it says H1B visas and family accompanying them or following to join them.
Okay. Even if the husband is in United States.
The husband has the H1B and is in the United States, we do not believe that she will be issued an H4 to follow him to the United States.
And reverse might be true too. If the wife already has H4 and she is in United States. Husband went out for H1B extension stamp. Will he be able to come back?
Not if he has not been issued the H1B visa. So the ban will preclude him from being issued the H1B visa stamp, so he will not be able to come back.
Okay. So for the people who have valid H1B visa or any of these valid visa categories, and the visa doesn't expire until a year or 2 years from now, can they still travel outside of United States and then
They
come?
can. There should be no problem with them traveling outside the United States. If they have a valid visa, there should be no problem with allowing them back in. That is our reading of the order, but we don't know. I'm advising clients in these categories not to travel.
Not to travel at all. Okay. And same for the people who, for H1B extensions, the H1Bs are expiring this year and their extension are being approved or are already approved. Should they would you advise someone to travel to go for stamping or no?
No, absolutely not. I would advise them not to travel for stamping. Stay in the United States, get the visa extended here, and maybe next year you can go for stamping.
Right. And is the stamp, how long can they wait until the stamping, or it just whenever they go outside, they need to come back with a stamp?
In order to be eligible to enter the United States, you need to have a valid visa. So in theory, if you issued an H1B visa for 3 years and you never leave the United States, you never have to get a visa in your passport. You only need the stamping if you leave the United States in order to re-enter the United States.
Yeah.
But if you have no intention of leaving the United States, then there's no need to even get the visa in your passport.
Right. There are certain people who had their visa appointment prior to COVID, and their passport was deposited and it was approved, and they haven't heard back from the consulate at all, and they don't know if it is stamped or not. What happens to, so assuming if it is not stamped or they don't know that what is this case, they will also be impacted by this.
We don't know what instructions have been given to the consulate, but it's our understanding from the order that they will not be issued visas in their passports, and those passports will be returned to them. However, there may be instructions that have been issued to the consulate that say any cases that are currently pending with you and you have the passport as of June the 22nd, you can give them visas. But our plain reading of the ban is that they will not be issued visas. But again, we have to wait and see what happens. But we just don't know.
Right.
It's very poorly worded.
Another case, L1 visa is in United States and L2 is not in United States, but have a valid visa. I'm assuming they can come back.
That is correct. There will be no problem with the L2 spouse who already has the visa in their passport traveling back.
Okay. So here's the case, which is from one of the person commented saying, my husband got his visa extension in March, and the wife came to India in December for personal reasons. And she had to go for stamping, but she cannot get an appointment. What happens to her? So assuming she falls into this category where she is impacted because now she doesn't have a valid visa and waiting for stamping.
We believe she's going to be stuck in India and possibly will be scheduled for an interview after December the 31st if the ban is lifted.
Right.
But again, the order specifically states it includes spouses following to join. So even if H1B holder is in the USA, spouse is following to join and will not be issued a visa if it hasn't been done by today or June the 24th.
Right. Husband is on H1B in United States. wife is on H4 and has a kid who's US citizen, will be wife able to come back because she doesn't have H4 stamp?
No, she will not be able to come back because she still would be viewed as following to join her spouse, and that is why she'd be eligible for an H4. There is no H4 for the parent of a US citizen. So even if the child is a US citizen, there's no H4 issued to her because her US citizen. She would be issued the H4 because her husband's on H1-B. So she would be stuck in India.
But child can come back, of course, the US citizen.
Yes.
Yeah. So are Canadians affected if they have approved H1B stamp, and will they be able to travel back to United States?
Well, first of all, even if they were not from Canada, if you have a valid H1B stamp in your passport, you will be able to travel, regardless of which country you're from. There's no exceptions. H1Bs are H1Bs. However, somebody who is on a TN visa, which is specifically for Mexican and Canadian nationals, is not impacted by the travel ban. But if they're on an H1B, then they are subject to the travel ban. But if they have a valid visa, there's no problem with them traveling.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Okay. So any impact on OPT renewals or stamp extension? I'm assuming they are not impacted because they are in United States.
Because they are in the United States. This may be a good time to talk about the difference between rulemaking and executive orders. The president has authority to make executive orders relating to entry of people into the United States based on national interest. So that is what he's done. He's saying it's in the interest of the United States not to allow entry to the United States to certain categories of visa holders. And he is authorized to do that under statute. However, so he just can pass any executive order he likes, which if he believes it's in the interest of the United States not to let in people. However, in regard to things that affect people in the United States, it has to go through rulemaking, and there is an extensive process. And he cannot just unilaterally do things by executive order. There's a comment period. The government has to respond to comments. There's laws that have to go through Congress. So you can't just unilaterally say, tomorrow, no OPT. It has to go through certain rulemaking in the United States. So that is a little more difficult. However, the ban does give authority to the Secretary of Homeland Security, together with the Department of together with the Department of Labor, and so on, to promulgate laws that will protect the national interest of the United States. And so any changes to laws has to go through a rulemaking process. Some of the things that they are considering in the national interest, especially under COVID and to protect USF workers, include the following: removal of work authorization for spouses of H1B holders, increasing filing fees of H1Bs to $20,000, increasing wage levels for H1B workers, making some things, we've heard rumors of level 2 at a minimum, others have said level 4 wages. This is all talk right now. This is not law. It still needs to go through formal processing. Other things include that if the H1B is situated at a third-party site, the third party has to file a labor condition application on behalf of the H1B. There is talk of only giving OPT to the top 1% of the class. of graduates. Only to the top 1% will be issued OPT. There has been talk of reducing STEM OPT from 3 years to only 1 year. So there will be a 1-year issuance, and there will not be a STEM OPT 2-year renewal.
Right. And these are just a proposal, right? Like these are not in
These are proposals. They will be met with comments from lobbyists. They'll be met with comments from interest groups for and against these things, and then the laws have to actually be passed. So it doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
And an election's coming up, so there's all sorts of strategies whether the government wants to do this. And then there are challenges in court. I have no doubt that this executive ban and any proposed changes which I've talked about will be challenged in court, and possibly an injunction would be issued which would stop the enforcement of this. So if today, for argument's sake, a case is filed in court, a judge may issue an injunction stopping an executive order, which means none of this will go into effect.
Okay, so this one is I-797, I-140 and 129, all approved, but they went back to home country for visa stamping and they don't have the appointment. Are they stuck or can they come back?
They are, unless they have a valid visa in their passport right now, they are stuck.
Okay, yeah. No, I think we covered pretty much all of the cases in I will leave your social media and website, so if people have questions, they can reach out to you if that's okay with you.
Sure. So we have a Facebook page. It's Pollak, P-O-L-L-A-K, P-L-L-C. I post regular updates on LinkedIn under my name, Karen Lee Pollak. You can go to our website at www.pollakimmigration.com, and Pollak is spelled P-O-L-L-A-K. And I'll be posting updates. This is all just what we believe or how we interpreting the order. It's still too early to tell. There's various theories of other ways it's interpreted, such as that if you haven't been issued a visa, you're stuck as of today, but you may be issued a visa as of tomorrow. I don't agree with that theory, but I may be wrong. And it's just time will tell how this is going to play out. And only when we see real live examples will we be able to tell how this will be implemented.
Yeah, no, and thank you again for doing this. Maybe we'll bring you back once we have a lot more understanding of what this executive order means, and if there are some if conditions or buts, and if so, later maybe we can bring in, or if President Trump
do that for you.
All right, yeah, thank you so much for doing this. This means a lot, and I'm so glad that we were able to do this, and you were able to answer almost all of the questions.
You're very welcome. And again, this is just my opinion. We're trying to see how it will play out, and maybe I can give you a better idea. I apologize, but it's just a well-written order.
Yeah. Okay, so Karen, you want to end the video for me? I'm going to say until our next one, and then you can say what we always say. So until our next one.
Keep smiling and keep hustling.